Soxcast is back, episode 9. We had a bit of a change of plans. Manager Doug Gillette had to postpone. We'll have him on next week after the holidays, but in his place, I think we got a pretty good one. Returning Blue Sox, he was part of the staff in 2019 and 21, and I believe he's ready for a third time around, which we'll talk about a little later on. He's a local guy from BVS High School and of course Lemoyne College. You know him, you love him, Dewey Roden. Dewey, hey, welcome inside, and glad that we got you in our new location here at Blue Sox Academy.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, Timmy. Definitely a lot different in here from the location before. It's beautiful in here, and it seems like it's going to be great for you guys because you can just keep growing.
So let's talk about being a local guy. You initially started at UMass Lowell. Ultimately, came back. You came back locally to play at Lemoyne, which is completely other discussion. But for your first summer collegiate baseball experience, was Utica an easy place to decide on?
Yeah, definitely. I played for the Silversmiths my senior year in high school, and I basically wanted to just keep growing each year and each summer go to a better league. But I've ended up here twice, and I'll end up here again this summer, and it's been awesome so far. I've had a great experience each year.
So that first summer for you, I mean, how special was it that you not only got to play for your quote unquote hometown team in Utica? I mean, Cheryl's right down the road from where you live, but Utica being that next step up, being a top 5 summer collegiate league, but also doing it with a bunch of other local guys like Ryan Enos, Vincenzo Castronovo, Avery Cook, and Matt Parkinson.
Yeah, no, that was awesome. I mean, I got to create some relationships with those guys. I always played against them in high school, but I didn't really know them that well. But the relationships I created with those guys will stick with me forever. I mean, I still talk to them to this day. We actually been texting a little bit lately to get together and trying to hang out and stuff. So it was awesome being able to actually play side to side with some of the local guys instead of playing against them.
That 2019 team, there was a lot, riding on that team, and early on, it was a good start, and it fizzled out a little bit, and right around early July, you guys are quite a bit back in the standings behind Geneva in first place, but that stretch in July, what really changed in terms of the 8-game win streak that you went on that ultimately ended on the last game of that win streak, with that walk-off win over Geneva to take over first place where you stayed for the rest of the summer?
Well, obviously, it's a long spring and summer, and you're going to have those dips in the season and stuff. But I think we got along really well that summer, and we just came together and went on a nice hot streak.
So during the year, you came in as, a guy who was going to play first base. You got a few reps at third, DHing obviously, but, you were thrown in there quickly as a pitcher, and, granted in 5 2/3, you had a really stellar ERA. How much was there for you expected to go out on the mound and in limited time, how'd you view overall, how you performed being thrown into a situation that maybe you weren't really anticipating coming in?
Well, so the end of my freshman year, I started to throw some bullpens in Massachusetts, and I kind of threw in some inter squads. But they kind of threw me in as a joke against the Generals, I believe. And I kept telling them that I could throw, and it ended up working out. Like you said, I got to throw 5 2/3 innings, and I had a pretty good summer. I think I gave up 1 home run at Adirondack. That was the one home run I gave up, and it kind of just started the roller coaster effect of going into the fall and throwing at Lemoyne. So it definitely kind of set the tone for me when I threw that summer and kind of understood, all right, I can throw at this level.
So unfortunately, obviously we all know what happened in the spring of 2020 when COVID, officially took over. At that point in time, you were, taking all that time, taking more time to develop as a pitcher. Did it set you back a lot, or at what point? Because I know you played in the summer league up in Rome that summer with Ryan Enos and a host of other local guys who were around, but were there any setbacks, and did you get any of that development back during that summer?
Well, I think that COVID kind of opened my eyes to some things like workout-wise and throwing that I needed to take care of to take my game to the next level. So I think that obviously it stunk that we didn't have a season and we couldn't really do much, but that really helped me work on stuff that I needed to. And we were doing live ABs. It was like me, Ryan, Park, Avery, and then me, Ryan, and Avery all played together that summer in Rome, and it was really fun. It was a shortened season. I think we only played like 16 games or something, but it was good to get out there and play when you couldn't do anything because of COVID.
So, like, I can't even imagine how great it must have felt to, get back in the swing of things in the spring of 2021, so, like, how exciting was it to get back on the field and really get back into the rhythm that you were just starting to get into the year before?
Yeah, no, definitely it was awesome. I mean, we only played 30-something games, and COVID shortened that a little bit more, but it was a good season. It was the first time at Lemoyne where I got a full season from start to finish. Obviously, like I said, we would like to play more games, but the season wasn't cut short, and we got to have a conference tournament, and then that ultimately led up into the summer.
Also helps, like with Lemoyne, a couple of your teammates, joined you from there. Sam DeGeorge, another guy who close to where you are in Canastota, but also Zach Brush, and it also helped, a guy you played alongside in high school, Davey Moffitt, joined you as well. What was the level of excitement going back to Utica after not having that 2020 season?
Well, it was definitely awesome. I mean, me and Davey grew up together. We always played, and then we were really close in high school, and we're still really good friends. But it was awesome being able to play beside him again and continue to play with Zach. And I played against Zach in high school, and same thing with Sam, being able to play with him over the summer. Got to create a nice relationship with Sam.
So that atmosphere in terms of 2019 to 2021. Initially in 2021, there were seating limitations in terms of how much capacity could fill Murnane Field. But how would you view the change in environment? Maybe if it was an improvement or what have you. What was the changes from the environment at Murnane in 2019 and then going to 2021?
Well, definitely. 2019. There was a couple times I'm pretty sure we broke the attendance record. You would look up there and the stands would be filled. All three of the stands would be filled, and same thing down the first and third baseline. It was definitely a lot different at the start of the season because they had the limitations, and I think they laid back on them a little bit as the summer went on. But still, it wasn't the same atmosphere because you couldn't have the same amount of fans in that 2021 season. But it was still awesome. Murnane's a great place to play.
So I think in that same vein, in terms of with the limitations, we were given lemons, but we made lemonade out of it in terms of things that brought the team and the fan base together. I hate I don't really hate patting myself on the back, but I also credit Garrett Gray for giving me this idea. But the song and the overall mantra that brought you guys together, to rally and keep the energy up. During times where, you're getting into a rhythm and you're scoring runs, and every time you score, over the speakers of Murnane, you'd hear "Pump It Up," and obviously, it was really well binding for you guys and, of course, everyone in the ballpark.
Yeah, no, definitely. At the start, it was just kind of a song, but then it turned into, our thing, and we even kind of got mocked a couple times for it, but it was definitely cool.
Overall, this year, I think there was definitely that level of camaraderie. Granted, not as great of a team as the year before, where, your West Division regular season champion, second best record in the league overall. But still, there were a lot of moments that, really, defined your season. The walk-off against Watertown right around the 4th of July was one of those. But that last week of the season, starting with that pink game, 2019, we had a pink game, but it got rained out.
Yeah.
So to actually have, a legitimate pink out where Mother Nature didn't get in the way of it, tell me what that environment was like.
Obviously it's for a great cause. It's for cancer. I do remember that day, though, when it got canceled in 2019. But it was just an awesome atmosphere, helping to raise money for a great cause. And I'm glad that we could be involved in it and help out with it.
Yeah, it also helps, put a hurting on Auburn 12-1 in that game. I don't recall if you played in that game, but just watching the onslaught that you guys in the offense put on, winning that game as big as you did, and it was really complete domination offensively and defensively. But as a pitcher, what was it like, for watching Rosie, he was dealing all year, but on that one specific night, especially given, his grandmother that being there who was a breast cancer survivor, what was it like watching him shove that night?
No, that was awesome. I'm pretty sure I played first base that night, or I DH'd, but I mean, it was definitely awesome getting to throw with Rosie and getting to learn from him too this summer.
So let's talk about, you get another game against Auburn a few days later at Murnane. So you start that game, and so you only got to throw a couple innings because your arm ended up nagging you. I mean, I can't even imagine how much it pained you, have to come out of that game. But, talk about how great, your replacement was. For the final 7 innings, Ryan Figueroa just absolutely dealing and just stifling Auburn and manhandling them.
Yeah, I know. Going into the outing, they wanted to just try and get as much as they could out of me because obviously towards the end of the summer, I mean, like I said, you have a whole spring and guys' arms are starting to get tired, throwing a lot of innings. So, I mean, it was awesome getting to see that performance by Ryan, and he was awesome all summer for us. He was great. So, it was definitely a very cool experience getting to be around those guys and meet some new guys. That's the one great thing about summer ball.
Now, so I remember that game in particular because that was going to be your last start of the regular season. And I remember you came to me like a few hours before the game. You needed me to, update your walk-up for that game. So, I mean, we got to talk about it because your taste in walk-up music, it's a very wide-spreading range because for that game, you needed me to get the Flume remix of that Lord Banger tennis court. But, I mean, you were all over the place between, EDM, rap, hip-hop, so on and so forth. I mean, again, I always wonder about the psychology of, choosing walk-up music, but what's that process like for you if you can, recall, what that process was like picking you, for 2019 and, of course, this past summer?
Well, I kind of try to always, like, have something different, a lot of different things for walk-ups and stuff. I'm always so bad at picking them, and it takes me forever to find the right song. But I remember that I was trying to change it up for that night. My last outing wanted to have something kind of relaxed and funny almost. So there's no real like method behind it. It's kind of all over the place. Try to keep it fresh with the songs.
So I know one of them, which is I heard it just randomly as like background music, but I think it was like STHLM Sunset. Like that one was an interesting one, and like I feel like when you pick songs, I feel like it's a big contrast between what you're warming up, what you're coming out to when you're pitching versus when you're hitting.
Yeah, no, that song doesn't even have any like lyrics in it. It's all just it's a beat. But that's a funny song and it has a really good beat to it. So I figured why not throw it in there.
So, I mean, am I right in terms of that contrast where like you want some more relaxed if you're pitching versus when you're coming up you need a little more juice?
Yeah, no, definitely, I agree with you. Try to have the more up-paced ones when I'm hitting and stuff to pump me up when I'm walking up to the plate.
All right, so from your perspective, you could talk about 2019, you could talk about this past year, but talk about the good that you heard in terms of guys walking up, whether they're coming to the plate or they're coming out of the pen or warming up as a starter, versus, and you can even talk about the bad. Feel free to share again favorites, least favorite walk-up songs you've heard from the past couple summers.
I mean, it seems like Angel, he always had a funny walk-up, from what I remember. But I'm trying to think. I mean, Ryan Enos, he always had good walk-up songs. He was always right on tee with that. And
he nailed it this year.
Yeah, and he would change it up and stuff. So, yeah, I mean, Ryan's the one who stands out to me. He had really good walkouts.
So, I talked about that arm injury that kept you out for the last well, it took you out of the game, and you could have gone a lot more had that arm injury not happened because you still hadn't given up a hit at that point. So I didn't see any reason why Dougie would take you out. So when he took you out, I'm like, okay, something's up. But before I get to following that playoff game in Auburn, I know Enos really didn't want to touch it, because he obviously want to say the politically correct answer. But had that game been in Utica, because you guys had earned that home field advantage, do you guys think you would have had a much better chance and probably even won had you had that playoff game against Auburn at Murnane and not at Falcon Park?
I mean, it's going to be a big difference when you're playing at home and you got your home crowd there, whereas you're going to someone else's place. You're not as comfortable there. You're not going to – I mean, we had some sort of following. We had a bunch of fans that came and watched us play, but obviously it wouldn't have been the same thing as in our backyard. I mean, the first game of the playoffs, it's obviously a big deal. So we were going to have a decent showing, and that would have helped us out. But, I mean, you never know. Obviously, playing away is going to be a lot different than playing home, especially in something that big, the playoffs.
Yeah, and I mean, it also didn't help, like in terms of like the overall. I mean, it's not just a different ballpark; it's a different playing surface too. Because I mean, I believe it's the only ballpark in the entire league that plays on turf. So you got to completely change your game plan. But I mean, so that night, I mean, it was really a complete pitching domination from Auburn, which we've said the flip side of that. But obviously with you being in the line, because there were changes with Harris Williams not being there. So Schmack had moved to the outfield. You had to fill in at first base. But overall, was it really something that you got to tip your cap to with Auburn and how well they pitched that night, or do you think it was more of like we lost the game rather than they won it?
I mean, they definitely, their pitcher went out there and shoved it down our throats. Basically, he did really well. So I mean, that's something where in the sport you can't do anything about it. He looked great that night, and he threw really well. So you got to tip your cap to him.
So I mean, so let's talk about obviously when, and we're just seeing the comments roll in now. Our guy James Flayhive, who we're most likely going to get as a future guest, commenting the Dewey. So I mean, I will say this: I love, like as a PA guy, getting to sell your name like that, with the, like saying it the way that I do, because I mean, you got to emphasize the, the ooh part of it. So, anyways, so ultimately because of that injury, I found out, back in September that you had to end up, unfortunately, having to get Tommy John surgery. So so the question I have for you, how's the recovery coming for that so far?
Good. I mean, obviously it was a big shock to my system. It's my first real injury. So I'm actually 13 weeks today, and I started hitting a week ago, and it hasn't really been bothering me at all. But basically, it's just a long process, and it seems like the hardest part is going to be coming up, not just physically but mentally when I start throwing and stuff. Because obviously I've got a brand new elbow. I got to get it back into shape and stuff like that. So it hasn't been bad so far. I got a long ways to go, and I mean, stuff like that happens, you know what I mean? You go out there and you put your body on the line every day, and you really, it's a long season between the summer and the spring. I mean, you play close to 100 games, so stuff like that's going to happen. Obviously, it stinks that my first injury was that serious of an injury. I mean, I never really, when they brought up Tommy John when I went into the doctor's office, it kind of took my breath away for a second. I was shocked by it. So,
I mean, are you kind of grateful, that you are a two-way player, where you're oh, I might have my pitching ability, inhibited a little bit, but because I'm a two-way, even after the surgery, I can still hit.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, it does help out being able to do both. I mean, I think that doing both kind of caused it, just because the overuse of going out pitching and then playing first base and still throwing then, and obviously trying to maintain both pitching and hitting takes up a lot of time. So I had to kind of choose which one that I want to focus on more of. So when I've always been a hitter first, and I just started pitching, so I focused more on hitting, and I may have not paid as much attention to my arm. So that kind of caught up to me and may have led up to the injury.
Well, I mean, either way, I mean, the way you are recovering, I mean, obviously, as a two-way guy and a guy who does watch a lot of baseball, you kind of look at Shohei Ohtani and say, who also, mind you, got Tommy John surgery a few years ago, did you kind of look at that and say, you know what, if he could get TJ surgery and still go out there and hit the way that he can, why can't I?
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, you look at those guys. Those are guys you look up to. I I mean, those are the guys, the big stage. That's what kids dream of, and that's the ultimate goal for a lot of college athletes. Your goal in high school is you want to make it to the next level. You want to play at the college level, and then once you make it to college, that's what you're working for. That's your dream that you've always had since being a kid. So definitely seeing other people doing it has given me hope to, all right, I may not be able to throw right now, but at least I can hit, and I'll be able to play one aspect of my game.
And that's really, especially with the way that you get on base, and especially, 2019, you really hit the ball well. You're over 300. You're right around in the 270s, 280s, which is still a very good career average over 2 years. So from a hitting aspect, coming into next year, with you being a part of this squad again and being a first baseman DH, which you're going to be in a pretty competitive spot, at first base, because you're going to get a lot of power at that position regardless. So what are you looking to most after a not as great of a 2021 as you were a couple years ago, but what are you looking to improve on most at the plate at the very least?
I mean, definitely just trying to go up there and do my thing. Obviously, summer it's a long season, so you're going to have your ups and your downs. And I had a great 2019 season, and I didn't have as good of a 2021 season hitting as I wanted to. But just go out there and take this time recovering and try and really break down the video and break down my swing to try and really take my swing to the next level.
So on the pitching side of things, I know obviously it's not definitive that you're not going to pitch, but also obviously it's not set in stone that there's there's no way you're going to pitch, but it's also there's no way that you are going to pitch. But so in terms of being in the middle, there is that possibility that you can pitch this year, and granted it might have to be limited, but and I know still again we're only a few months into recovery from a surgery that normally takes between 8 to 12 months almost. So is part of you kind of itching to get back on the mound, especially given how well you pitched the last 2 years?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm hoping to give you guys some innings on the mound this summer, and I'm definitely excited to get back and see what I got, especially with my new arm, and just start working back up to where I was before.
So, if you and I were actually talking about this, the strikeout rate, you have been accumulating, 36 in the third innings with 50 strikeouts, and, given that you have more time and also, being able to throw more innings, obviously that number may not be as high as expected coming into this year, but, is it kind of crazy to think of, to think hey, if I have this chance, I could potentially make history here, and set a new all-time strikeout record, and especially coming from a guy who plays both sides of the ball.
Yeah, I mean, definitely something pretty cool to hear and know I'm in the race for. So, I mean, it's in the back of my mind, obviously, but you can't really worry about that stuff when you go out there and you get on the mound and you step up at the plate.
I mean, the fact that, over the years, you've seen a lot of guys, Luis De Leon for one, Enos, who's played now 2 years like you, and, your first year in Utica, you were with a third-year guy like Robbie Young, are you, we're seeing those guys, be able to, going out there for, two, in those cases I mentioned with Lou and Robbie playing 3 years, that give you more of an inclination to say, what, I want to come back for a third year?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I mean, Utica's my backyard, and for me, this is the best option for me, especially with my recovery and stuff. So I'm glad that they've given me the opportunity again to come back and play. And like Robbie and Louie, I learned a lot from Robbie, especially I was just after my freshman year of college, and Robbie was a lot older than me, so I'm very grateful that I got to play alongside of Robbie, because obviously he was, to me, like one of our captains. I mean, he really, when we needed it, he stepped up, and he had a very good summer. So being able to play with him and next to him, I got to learn a lot, and it's a friendship that I'm very grateful for.
And on that note, the funny thing is, so earlier, back around late October, we announced Robbie is going to be the next inductee into the Blue Sox Hall of Fame. So that's going to be coming up during the summer. I mean, is that something because we're going to be doing a lot of fun stuff at the ballpark during the year. But is it going to be exciting for you to see Robbie come back and have his moment in the sun?
Oh, definitely. I mean, he deserves it. He's a grinder on and off the field. I mean, he's got his own business. He's an unreal guy. I mean, if you have a conversation with him right up from the start, he'll light up the room. I mean, he's very knowledgeable, very hardworking guy, and he's an unreal guy. It's a friendship that I'll cherish forever.
And so in terms of you're approaching a record in terms of strikeouts, but unbeknownst to me, and I wish I had the record ahead of me. When Lou actually broke the record for most hits by a Blue Sox in a career, which happened in that final game against Watertown. I feel like from a hitter standpoint, watching a guy like Lou do what he did, a career 365 hitter for 3 years, mind you, was there anything you learned from him? Just whether it be him telling you what he does or just watching him.
I think me and Lou would go back and forth a lot. Actually, in 2019, me and Lou got close as the summer went on, and we really shot a lot of ideas off of each other, and we would really try and break stuff down. But Lou would be the first guy in the cage, the last guy still there in the cage, working on his craft, constantly breaking down video. And I've always been a guy who likes to break down video, so I connected with Lou on that level, and he's been great for me still to this day. I'll shoot him a video, I'll shoot him an idea, and we talk, we connect, and so that's like the same thing with Robbie. I mean, it's awesome to play with those guys and be able to learn from them and be able to just try and get better with those guys.
So, looking ahead to 2022 now, I mean, obviously you got your school season at Lemoyne. Obviously, you'll still have Sam and Brush. But going into next summer, we were talking about the changes that are going to be going on with the league. You guys are going to be out in the West. Good news, not as competitive as division, but obviously there's going to be more travel. But on the flip side of that, also, you're going to be facing some teams that you didn't see in 2021. 2019 being in the West Division, you got awfully familiar with Elmira, who has had a long-standing rivalry with us in the past. But what is it that you're looking forward to most? And not just from a personal standpoint, but just seeing new places, facing new teams, and ultimately because of not being in that stronger division where you got Amsterdam and Saugerties who were in the championship series a year ago out east, but now you got a chance to reclaim that West Division regular season title that you did a few years ago.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely going to be awesome seeing some new places, being able to play at some other places, because I know that Elmira's got a pretty cool park there, right?
Yeah.
And then obviously Jamestown's pretty far, but it'll be cool to travel to those places. But the biggest thing every summer is just being able to connect with guys and create relationships. In these past 2 summers, I've been able to connect with some great guys and learn from them. I mean, like you said with Lou and Robbie, you play with these guys and you get to learn from them. You create friendships that don't just last for a summer; they last forever.
And let me talk about special relationships that last forever. So one thing, I don't know if you had seen this on social media or it was on WKTV last night, but obviously one of the more special people within the Blue Sox family, although he's not on the field as a player, coach, whatever. But he's a special part of our family. That story about B Money.
Yeah.
I'm sure you must have seen it, but how great is it to have? I mean, obviously you can talk about him specifically, but just having young fans like that, and just having that much support from the fan base really as a whole. Like how special has that been? And obviously you can talk about B Money first and then expand.
I mean, B Money, he was always in the locker room with us. He's an awesome guy. We'd always play ping pong with him. I mean, stuff like that is what really makes you want to work hard and stuff, because, I mean, those kids may look up to us, but we really appreciate that as players, those kids showing support. And, I mean, they make you feel like you're a superstar when they want your autograph or they want your batting gloves or a broken bat. I mean, it may be awesome for them, but it's just as awesome for us. And being able to be around B Money and his I actually did see the story. I didn't get to watch the video, but he was always an awesome guy to be around. He would light up the room, and he would always be in there trying to do stuff with us, trying to just stay active with us, and just stuff like that. We really appreciate that, and we appreciate it just as much as they appreciate us showing support to them.
Yeah, I mean, and obviously, like so as the story goes, for a kid like B Money, because he's an eccentric character, and when you're like that, kids tend to like center on that, and make you the target for bullying. But he cited that when it was very early in that summer when it was his 11th birthday, and I made the announcement, "Happy birthday!" Got the on-field acknowledgement, and then he said that really that whole night changed his life, and and even his mother said like how his outlook on everything really changed given the stuff that he's had to endure at such a young age. So looking back on that, is that something you can look on like like I made a difference that is far bigger than what I could ever do hitting a ball or throwing it.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I mean, I kind of see that going along with like the relationships you make. I mean, it's not all about baseball. I mean, that stuff, the pink event, being able to raise money for cancer, but helping out kids and trying to give them a little light at the end of the tunnel if they're struggling and stuff. That's just awesome. That's stuff that stays with you forever.
So last but not least, obviously, Robbie, you're going to see Robbie, again, like getting inducted into our Blue Sox Hall of Fame, but, given, your track record and how, you're going to be accumulating a lot of games, rising up, most appearances, most hits, walks, so on and so forth, you're going to be shooting up that leaderboard quick, obviously, that might ultimately lead to a Hall of Fame Hall of Fame induction here with the Blue Sox, but, obviously, this could be a discussion for another time because we could always revisit this after this coming summer. But as of right now, what do you want to be remembered for most as a Blue Sox, and for the fans, the ones that are coming back, and even the new ones that we're going to make this year. What do you want them to remember or keep in mind about you? Just from what seeing you on and off the field.
I mean, the biggest thing is just trying to give the team whatever I can. Obviously, in 2019, it was nice that I hit really well, but I also, towards the end of the season, was able to bring a presence on the mound, and then that really rolled into the 2021 season, being able to have a presence on the mound. And even though that I didn't have the best summer hitting, I was able to really step up my game on the mound. So being able to kind of adjust with how things are going. Because obviously, like we talked, I had that one outing at Mohawk Valley that was really my only not very good outing. But being able to just, on both sides of the field, defense, on the mound, or hitting, just being able to help the team out and take the team to the next level. And
obviously, anytime you get returners, it's obviously great. But when you get a local guy coming back for another summer, obviously, Ryan Nevis, we broke the news first about that. And, we got to hear also, we couldn't be more excited to have you back this summer. I mean, we hope that, your recovery go far enough to the point where we will see you on the mound, but at the very least, we're going to see you at the plate. And, I'm going to be excited to see you back this summer again, and I'm sure all Blue Sox Nation will too. So, Dewey, thanks for the time. Obviously, with you being home for the holidays, this is a must to get you on here live in our Blue Sox Academy location. So, again, thank you for the time, and again, continued success with recovering from surgery, and kill it this spring, and looking forward to the summer, man.
Definitely. I appreciate all the support and you having me on here. I love coming to play here for the Blue Sox, and it's just an awesome place to be.
So that does it for this episode of the Soxcast. Coming up, so as mentioned, Dougie Dillette was supposed to come on this week, but due to some unforeseen circumstances, he will be on next week. The targeted date is either Tuesday or Wednesday. We'll keep you posted on all of our social media. But for Dewey Roden, I'm Tim Best signing off for the Soxcast. Thank you for tuning in, Blue Sox Nation. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and we'll catch you after Christmas for the next edition of the Soxcast with the skipper. You know him, you love him, of course, the GOAT, Dougie Dillette. Blue Sox Nation, have a good Christmas, and we'll catch you after the holidays.